Good morning, everyone. We are continuing our contemplation on Sanatana Dharma, Ashtanga Yoga, the combination of the multiple approaches like Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Tantra Yoga, etc., Hatha Yoga, how these all connect together in our own system, in our own body, in our mind, for the purpose of realization, for the purpose of evolving spiritually, spiritual evolution. So along those lines, we are continuing our exploration of the Ashtanga Yoga, and if you, just as a quick recap, the first stage of the Ashtanga Yoga is called Yama, or Yamas they're called, and there are 5 pieces to that, 5 aspects. Ahimsa, which is non-violence; Satya, truthfulness; non-falsehood; Asteya, non-stealing; Brahmacharya, which we will talk about at another time; Aparigraha is the 5th part there. And then we are moving forward into the Niyamas. So we have been talking about SAUCHA. So we're going to go a little bit further into that from a different angle today. There are 5 components or 5 aspects to the Niyamas. And the word Niyam simply means a type of regulatory practice. So SAUCHA is purity, clearness of mind. Santosha is contentment, inner contentment. Tapas is austerity, asceticism, self-discipline. Deliberate attempt to keep the body within a certain range, body and mind. Many different types of tapas are there. That's a massive subject. We'll get to that later on. Swadhyaya is the study, reflection, self-study. In the Christian tradition, this is called contemplative Christianity. In fact, they have those Christian Science reading rooms. You can go in there, and they're very quiet and very peaceful, and you can contemplate on the scriptures. So we'll talk about how that is to be done, what Vedanta says about Swadhyaya, and many other angles to that later on. And then the 5th component there is Ishwar Pranidhan. It is the contemplation on God, on Ishvara, on Paramatma, the Brahman. So that, what is that contemplation? How is that to be done? Which is another very intense subject, as they all are, just even from an understanding point of view. So we have been examining SAUCHA, and I want to try to present this in a different way today, to even bring more clarity to what this is all about. So first of all, as we stated yesterday, SAUCHA is referring to different ways of trying to purify the body, the senses, and the mind. So there are multiple stages and levels of purification. Physical purification, cleanliness of the body, taking a shower, keeping it clean. We put powder, we put different things on there. Otherwise the body will, if you don't take a shower for 2 days, what happens? My God, a lot of trouble is there. We can see the difference right away. So body is to be kept clean, balanced, healthy, and within a certain range. This is the first thing to understand about SAUCHA, because the purity of the body really has to do with health of the body. The healthy body, we usually don't think of it that way. We don't think of a healthy body as a pure body. Usually in the Sanatana Dharma, so many different people and acharyas and teachers have pretty much kind of said the body is impure. Like I mentioned yesterday, they're saying that in relation to the Atma is totally different from the body. It is a Vyatirek. It is totally different from the body, from the 3 bodies in fact. So it is in relation to that, but that should not be misunderstood. It should, in my perspective, what needs to be understood is that the body is a vehicle for the soul. The body is the means through which Prakriti is manifesting her energy so that we can experience this life. The body is to be kept as healthy as possible. Not that we're necessarily doing that, most people are not, but that is the doorway. The healthy body is the doorway into the further purification. If the body is not healthy, and if it's not balanced, and if it's not taken care of properly, the other types of development from the senses purification and all that, it's possible, but it becomes very difficult, because if the body is imbalanced, our attention the mind and the brain automatically keep their attention on finding ways to rebalance the body. So most of the energy goes into that. And that's not, and that's the problem. Then that energy that is available, less energy is available for taking all of the other steps to eventually go towards realization. If someone is suffering, like pain is there in the shoulder or neck or something, the mind is going to be thinking about that only. You can try to take the name of Ram or Krishna or Shiva or anybody. You can take as much name as you want. Your mind is going to go right back to that body, to the pain of the body, to the difficulty inside the body. So it is our absolute unequivocal responsibility, as we have stated many times, to do the best we can to keep the body as in balance, as healthy as possible, and then to keep it as clean as possible. Very, very important. Very important. Because the cleanliness of the body allows for the mind to also be affected by that. The mind, as we know, is the subtle aspect, and the gross aspect is the body. So body, mind are actually one phenomena, but one is subtle, one is gross. We call it gross in the sense of it's perceptible directly by our senses. I can see my hand. I may not be able to see my thinking and my emotion that clearly. It's not something that's physically manifested as such. So the purification that is talked about here, at the very root level, as I mentioned some days back, it is the purification of the energy within the three gunas of Maya. The Sattva gun, Rajo gun, Tamo gun. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So there's energy that is blocked by these three, or it is confined by these three, and we want to release it. This is the whole reason why Maya expresses itself in the Brahmand, in the universe, within ourselves. It expresses itself so in the form of the three gunas, Sattva gun, Rajo gun, Tamo gun. But in that expression, the opportunity to go beyond the expression, the opportunity to stay in tune or to detect the non-diluted, undiluted power within Sattva gun, Rajo gun and Tamo gun is possible. And so once we detect that, we are able to tap into that power, and if we tap into that power, we begin to directly make the bridge with the energy within the sun. Hence the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurvuvah Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayata. What is the Gayatri Mantra anyway? It is a direct connection of the purified power running through our mind-body complex, Antakarana, etc., through the Ida Pingla Sushmana Nadi into the sun, the sun that we see outside. So the sun that we see outside, we can actually connect into the sun through samadhi. There are stages of samadhi where you can see the sun and the moon, and there are yogis who can actually go into the sun and the moon. These kinds of phenomena are possible because the Ida, Pingala and the Sushmana Nadi, the three main nadis, these are spiritual nerves connecting the chakras, and the energy that is flowing through the nadi, that is spinning the chakras. These are all connectors with the whole Brahmand outside. The sun and the moon and all of that this is all transcendental stuff. But we need to keep that broad perspective in mind also, because sun and moon are only that's there, but there's even much more. There's a whole galaxy. There's even infinite number of stars and galaxies and all those things. They are accessible through meditation, through the internal development within. They're accessible through the purified energy. Absolutely pure energy. That is why things like saintliness, all the openness of the mind, the multiple qualities of great sages, sadhuta, or jisko hum sadhuta kehte, that is not about by external things. It is this energetic purification. And when that happens, we are able to transmute from the Jiva into the Shiva. Yahi yatra hai. This is the journey from the Jiva to the Shiva. From the limited bound soul to the liberated soul. That's the whole journey. And just as the sun goes through nuclear fusion in its core. What is nuclear fusion? See, if you look up nuclear fusion, what do you find? It is a combination of different elements actually. See, nuclear fusion is a reaction in which two or more atomic nuclei are combined to form one or more different atomic nuclei and the subatomic particles, neutrons and protons. The difference in mass between the reactants and products is manifested as either the release or absorption of energy. It's happening in the sun. Either energy can be absorbed or it can be released. The same phenomena that is happening in the sun is happening inside of us. Inside of us, the energy doesn't remain stagnated because we're alive. So that power can be released further. So the release of the further power is what all this Ashtanga Yoga is all about. The clear the mind, the tapping into the purity of experience. Now let's use some examples to make this a little bit more clear. Let's say I take a cup of coffee. It's got the right temperature, right amount of coffee, the kind of creamer I want, some Splenda or some sugar or whatever. It's made exactly the way I like it. So I take the cup of coffee. If my mind is extremely steady, there's not a single issue in my life. My body is healthy. There is good amount of satisfaction in every area of my life. And there is good energy from my exercising and from businesses and from work and from relationships and all of that. If all of that is at the highest levels, then that sip of coffee, because of the state of mind that is awakened and very alive due to non-fragmentation, that sip of coffee is going to taste fantastic. Is it true or not? Why? Now, if there is even the slightest disturbance, the actual experience of that cup of coffee is coffee, but the enjoyment decreases substantially, even with the slightest disturbance. This is the whole point. That the object outside, whatever it might be, I'm using a cup of coffee, you can have anything outside that you enjoy, that you like. That it could be a sattvic satsang, like what we're trying to do right now. It can even be some rajasic activity also, and it can be potentially even a tamasic activity like sleep at night time. But in all of them, there is the possibility of extracting the pure undifferentiated energy that is actually present in all experiences of life. Satsang, family life, work, taking a bath, going for a walk, everything. And when we are able to extract that pure energy or the purity of that energy from every experience of life, which is the goal, then one is now in a state of non-divisive, one is in a state of non-divisive function, non-division. That is Advaita. So the Sadgurus, the Satpurusha, Sat means truth. those who are living in that state are the Sadgurus, who are living constantly in that purified energy. And then that energy is then used for constant devotion to God, which is exactly point number 5, Ishwar Pranidhan. Ishwar Pranidhan. Contemplation on Ishvara, the true self, the unchanging self. How is that going to happen? Do we think that we can just begin to just contemplate on that higher self like that? No. Not at all. We try to do it, we'll be tired within 2 minutes. Because we don't have enough energy to even contemplate properly. That is why Patanjali is teaching us to come to a state of mental and intellectual and sensory purity, where energy is now available in its purified form for greater contemplation. Without that refined and pure energy, like that sugarcane analogy that I gave last time, or some time before, without that energy, or let's put it this way, with that energy, we can begin the contemplation, steady and careful and mindful and objective contemplation on God, on truth, on who we are. Who am I? What is the world? Who is Ishvara? Then we will have the intelligence to actually go through the scriptures, which are second-hand information, and then that second-hand information, that energy that is within us, will make it first-hand. It is called Pratyaksha Anubhuti. You have seen directly yourself. As I stated before, we are interested so many times on keeping a distance with God, with gurus, with teachers, with saints, with scriptures. We keep them external. They're not to be kept external. If they come inside of us, they begin to live inside of us, then we become transformed from within. We begin to see what they are intending for us to see. In Vachanamrutam, teachings of Sajanand Swami Maharaj, which I always put some references in there, he has stated again and again and again that connect with the state of the Satpurush. It's not just the physical form or the body, that may be the beginning. But what are they holding inside? It's like, analogy is a very simple analogy. If we are thirsty, it's difficult to drink water without putting it in a glass. If it's in a glass or a cup or some container, then we can easily drink it. Similarly, the enlightened sages, Sadgurus, Satpurushas, they are the cup, they are the container. And the water within, that is God, that is Paramatma, that is the realization. And that is what they are wanting for us to drink. We're not interested in the container. We respect the container. We hold the container. We hold the cup. We don't smash the cup. We don't do anything because what is inside the cup? What is inside the nice, beautiful glass? It is pure, 100%, let's say, highest quality spring water, or like life-giving water, Amrit. So let's say it is filled with Amrit. So what is that Amrit? That is God Himself, God itself, Paramatma. So gurus are in multiple places. There are physical gurus now, great teachers. In the past they have also come, we can study their lives. Scriptures are also gurus. Future, and then from a broader point of view, once we begin to resonate with the internal development, everything becomes guru. Everything actually is guru. All prakriti, all people, all circumstances, everything that is in our perception is teaching us how to get liberated from Maya. It's showing us what is Maya, it's showing us the bondage of Maya, and it is showing us the path of liberation out of Maya. Everything, everywhere, under every circumstance is showing this. That is what Guru Dattatreya taught. Dattatreya ji, you may be familiar, worshipped in Maharashtra quite a bit. He was an incarnation of God in Satyug time, before Bhagwan Ram also. And this was his principle. He had 24 gurus, different gurus. The earth was a guru, and the wind was a guru, and the arrow maker was a guru, and so many things. He took something from everything that he came in contact with and turned it into a guru. It's possible. We can do that too. We can try it even today. We can say that whoever I come in contact with, there is some teaching behind that. Let's just take the traffic example. We're driving in the car. Somebody cuts us off and puts a horn, horns, and is really angry and upset because of they had to wait or something. How can that person be a guru? Oh, they definitely said, oh, okay, that person is showing this negative emotion, but that person is also guru. Guru in what sense? That the kind of impatience that person has to weave through the traffic, let me be impatient that way for God. Turn the negative thing into a positive for yourself. And then wish well for that person. And at the same time, also thank the person for allowing that situation to come about so that one can see one's own disturbance. Look at how much is involved in just somebody getting upset with us. That becomes a great guru. Do we think of it that way? If we think of it that way, if we perceive it that way, we are in the temple of God. Mandir is what, after all? What is the temple and where is the mandir? Physical temples and all these things they are all beginning points only. But we have to go beyond all of that and universalize the temple in every place, every direction, every situation, all circumstances, to the point where when we are beginning to go to sleep at night time, we are in the temple, the internal temple. That internal temple is the Atma, is the Paramatma, is the Akshardham, is the Akshara Brahma, is the Golok, Vaikuntha, different divine abodes, everything is within us. Once we connect, because if we are connecting with Paramatma during the waking state, in the dream state, we are also going to connect with the Paramatma. But if we're going to connect with disturbances and problems and difficulties and all kinds of crazy entanglements of this world, look at the chaos that is existing at nighttime for most of human population. I actually downloaded from Encyclopedia Britannica like 2 years ago the whole range of diseases and disturbances at nighttime, the sleep disorders. There are so many. They're in the thousands actually. I mean, it is unbelievable the kind of damage that is being done at nighttime by the brain. The brain is itself, so it's creating this chaos at nighttime. Because the daytime is a chaos for so many people. And all these mechanisms pop up and all that. So there is this neuropsychology behind it. But the fact of the matter is that we can evolve into a purified state where the Swapna Avastha, the dream state, is also part of the Shaucha idea. Shaucha is purity, cleanness, clarity. How nice that would be to have such a nice sleep, just a restful sleep. And if a dream does come, as per Vachanamrut, if God appears as Ganesha, Shiva, Jesus, whatever, as a particular guru, some divine experience happens there, then from Vachanamrut's point of view and many other gurus also, that is the Paramatma, transcendent God coming into the Antakarana and giving us darshan. हम कहते हैं ना कि भगवान का दर्शन हो गया, वो सत्य हो, that's a true thing. That is not something, it could be some projection of the mind, we're not saying, discounting that, but if the devotee is there, जो भक्त होते हैं, उनके लिए वो परमात्मा, he comes in that way you are wanting for God to come. God comes in any form, depending on the way you want God to come. So, or वो क्या, that is a connect, that is a संबंध, जो भक्ति करते हैं, भक्त और भगवान का संबंध होता है. Like take Mirabai for example. What kind of dreams do you think she was having? I'll have to do some research on that at one point. I don't know if there's any literature on that, but I'm going to make an assumption that she was probably seeing Krishna and Krishna-related stuff the whole time, probably. But someone who is worshipping Jesus is not going to see Krishna or Shiva. So we're going to see God the way we want to see God. God is beyond everything. He comes in any form, in any which way. But depending on our state of mind, our nishta, our belief, that is how the Paramatma is going to come to us. बहुत बड़ी बात है. That's a whole different subject, but it does connect with this notion of purity, because if the mind is purified from the vortex of the sansar, we're living in the sansar, but the sansar doesn't live in us. This is the point. We live in the sansar, we live in this multifarious world as a lila. Declare yourself as performing lila, because there's, as I mentioned before, if you remember, there's no karma accumulated when you are performing lila, and lila is non-binding action, non-binding interaction. It is a play. Sri Krishna Bhagwan ke sab kriya, what do we say? Sab Krishna lila. We don't ever say Krishna accumulated karma and all this thing. Everything Krishna did is lila. There's nothing wrong in anything he did. Janma karma jame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tektva deham punarjanma naiti ma meti sorjana. This verse is there in the Gita, I think it's chapter 4. It's total lila. Similarly, Krishna is asking us to move into that same state where we are unbounded in action, and everything we do is a play of consciousness. And there's a book actually written by Swami Muktananda. It's not part of the Swaminarayan, so this is actually from Maharashtra, different Guru Parampara. And it's called Play of Consciousness, Chit Shakti Vilas. And this is the idea, that once you are awakened, the energies awakened from within beautifully, everything is a lila. There's no binding anywhere, not in the slightest even. Because one has a 360 vision, Gnana Shakti has opened up, one has Vairagya, one is above attachment and detachment, one has pure love, is evolving that way. So in the actions that are performed for as a grace for the sansar, and they're performed without binding. Unbound action, unfettered action, unclutched action. This is possible. How beautiful. Is it difficult? Absolutely not. In fact, it's the most straightforward thing. You know what is difficult is to hang on to all the chaos generated by the three gunas of Maya. But that's what we know, so we hang on to that. But if we say, wait a minute, Satsang is all these gurus and teachers are teaching us something different, let's see if we can try to hang on to what they're teaching us. And if that's the case, we can find something much more extraordinary compared to the usual run-of-the-mill kind of life that we have. So anyway, so these are some thoughts here today on really some very, very different ways of looking at this. I wanted to go a little bit more into the sun and the metaphysical stuff, but that's a little bit more protracted. We need like 3-4 hours to do all that. How that all connects with the Ida, Pingla, Sushmana, Nadi, and the different chakras and the different mantras, and all those things are quite profound. But in a small way of putting it, mantra sadhana, Guru Krupa, Bhagwan, Ishta Nishta, Nishta of one's Ishtadev, connection with true saints, loving them, loving their state. They're the container, they're holding the saintliness within. And then our sadhana. So the sadhana is mantra sadhana, it is jap sadhana, jap yagna, it is bhajan kirtan, it's sab adhyatmik sadhana hai. Manan chintan, all of these things, seva, this is all adhyatmik sadhana. So when you pull all of this together, the doorway opens, the energy within the system gets purified. This is the whole point. In Vachanamrutam, this is called Gnan Yagna, Yoga Yagna. Different gurus different teachers have put different ways these things. And then it's beautiful what is stated there. Once you finish this process, you begin to realize yourself as the Brahman. This is in Vachanamrut Garada number 8, Ekadashinu Vachanamrut. It's called Gnan Yagna, Yoga Yagna. That's the title of the Vachanamrut. It means that you begin to realize that you are the Brahman, and within the Brahman, the realization of the Parabrahman occurs. God is sitting within the Atma. This is Vishishtadvaita. God is the Sakshi within the Atma. God is the witness within the Atma. God is the giver of the fruit for the Jivatma. Karma phal pradata. Paramatma का अस्तित्व हमारे आत्मा में ही है, और वो हम जो कर्म करते हैं उसका जो फल देता है वो परमात्मा है. But there will be no fruit, negative or positive, if we are in that state of gunatit, beyond the maya. It's the activities going on, unbounded action, and there's lila going on. So lila meaning is a play, divine play. So that is the most extraordinary state. There is such a state. There are beings now in such a state, and we can also, if we really want this, we can have that. It's not so hard. We just have to go into and absorb, like a sponge that absorbs the water. Dry sponge you put into water. It doesn't have to make any effort, it just absorbs. If our mind is a sponge, when our mind becomes a sponge-like consciousness, then the truths of the glory of satsanga and contemplation, we begin to absorb it, and we get the ras, jisko Brahma ras kehte hain. Vishaya ras hai, Brahma ras. We begin to experience the Brahma ras from within, and then that Brahma ras expands further, and it's like a permanent high. That's what that is like, right? All right, so that's good enough for today.